it poses an interesting question. If both teams are having questionable drafts, who can do the least damage in picks and bans?
I mean, it generally means that they're not going to be punished as hard, and both teams will end up getting compositions that they are comfortable with that hopefully won't be countered for both of these guys.
But we're seeing again, Lee Sin and Rek'Sai. Again, TBQ's champion pool has been hit. That's the third time we've seen both of those champions removed. So the entire group recognizing TBQ just not as comfortable in the champions. He's tried Elise, he's tried Vi.
And yeah, the issue is that apart from that, there's not really much else. He has played a bit of Vi. It was a popular champion for him. At least he can sort of play. Even Rengar's sort of in the big backlog of champions. But again, on this metagame, on this patch, these are not champions that you can, I think, pick easily and expect to win with a lot of the time.
Yeah, I actually really like the Team Solomid bans. They are targeted specifically at the strength or weakness of LGD. Strength in the fact that they're banning the Kog'Maw away from Imp, and weakness in the fact that they're banning away TBQ's two best champions.
So Mordekaiser or Lulu, what will the final ban be from LGD? That is the question.
I would think it would be Mordekaiser. There was a game where he completely slipped through the ban phase. That was yesterday with LGD versus KT. So now at least they have both. And this is actually where it gets a little bit dangerous. If you're going to pick one of the two, I think you pick Lulu.
I think so too.
However, because as a Juggernaut, it's much like when you pick Darius into Lulu, you can still kite him around. He doesn't have an ability to close distance.
Oh!
TSM disagreed,
They did the same thing yesterday, QuickShot. They picked the Darius with the Lulu up and they ended up getting kited. However, this is at least kind of exciting.
Yeah, Mordekaiser back on the roof for one more game here. Like you mentioned, it's only one game that he's slipped through completely. Does have one win and a whole host of bans apart from that. I have to say, Jungle Champion's still not sure what they're going to play. TBQ can also go to Gragas. That's one other champion he's played to reasonable success. But whatever it is, I have to think LGD are going to pick a jungler right now.
This is throwing a big wrench in the draft phase. I have to imagine TSM was expecting a Mordekaiser ban. However, the one team who didn't ban Mordekaiser, of course, was LGD. So that leaves a lot of stuff free. This would be the logical choices for LGD. AD carries in particular, I actually think are even stronger against Juggernauts in particular because they are the ones that will be kiting them. And because of the Lulu, the Kalista generally can't be bursted as hard by Mord in teamfights. And I think that's some really strong counter picks up against the early Mordekaiser.
Yeah, and just regionally, Imp's Kalista is probably the best in the LPL. Certainly one of the best here at Worlds. He got that champion banned against him so many times in the LPL, even though Kalista's sort of fallen out of favor. So a smart pick here from LGD.
So Gragas locked in, another jungle champion denied from TBQ. It's going to leave LGD a couple of different options, but all of them going down that tier list. Jatt, we talked extensively about jungle champions and what we're expecting to see. You think it's going to be the Vi again, or is the Nunu hover likely?
It depends how much faith they want to put in TBQ. If they want to put him on an easier champion that can execute around LGD strengths, we haven't seen Nunu yet at Worlds, or even for a very long time in competitive, but it would fit this specific use case. One snowball on Mordekaiser, he's not hitting anyone with that third Q.
I think the other thing as well is that if they go with this, it's very Imp-centric, this team. Can't we talk?
They actually did it!
All right.
They actually did Brand. This has been a champion that has been hovered frequently. A lot of people have been playing it in solo queue, and it's probably mid as well.
Yeah.
When was the last time we saw Brand mid? Was it Season 1 World Championship? It's going way back.
Back to Brand and Malzahar days.
Oh my.
They were
It could also be Brand support. Brand support is actually the stronger version of Brand in most scenarios.
In this team composition, you'd maybe assume that with an Acorn counterpick, depending on what Dyrus wants to run.
Brand.
I mean, you don't even know at this stage, but the Nunu was also locked in. Just as a side note, in both of TSM's previous games, Twisted Fate was in fact banned against Bjergsen, and you can see the hover, so he's toying with that idea.
Certainly is.
Sorry, I didn't hear a word you said.
There's still Brand happening.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out if Brand was going mid or support.
There's like,
I mean, the support actually makes more sense, I think, because Brand won't be punished as much for positioning since Kalista can use the Fate's Call. TSM is going all in on these Juggernauts, so they will be so heavily kited unless they get really clean initiation.
and what do we talk about? Bjergsen, the shining light really for TSM. He has to do so much work in these games to get the side lanes ahead here. He's got Twisted Fate. He's expected to make an impact on the champion, and he's certainly going to have to.
Yeah, the Twisted Fate has been banned heavily against Bjergsen as well, so really
There's ever a time
Brand.
If there was ever a time for Bjergsen to step up on a champion, Mr. Fate is now. But yeah, Brand's going to be fun, and it looks like it might actually be support.
And I want so much to see GODV play Teleport Diana. He was the one who really popularized this pick, and everyone wanted to play Teleport Diana like GODV. There
you go, you're going to get your wish. Diana has been locked in. That does mean it's Brand support for PYL. PYL does like to mess around sometimes, but this is a big step. Yeah,
aside from the Brand, this is a very common LGD composition, right? When they pick the Lulu, you don't actually expect GODV to play it. You would have expected it to play in the top lane for Acorn, which was why it was so weird when they played Lulu mid on the first day of group stages that they played. Of course, the support Brand is just a whole bunch of AoE damage in this. The amount of damage the Brand puts out on support is basically mid lane tier, even with support items. That's why he's so effective.
And I guess it helps when you've got a melee AD carry role to throw those seers out at. As a note, this is game 19 of the group stages, and with Diana and Twisted Fate locked in, 19 unique mid-lane champions. Somewhere, champion diversity celebrates, because we are continuing to see these exquisite champs. Now, lane swaps, is this going to be a thing? I cannot imagine Mord and Thresh really want to lane into Kalista Brand.
I think it's a pretty big factor in here. One of the major reasons Mordekaiser is strong is because of the mismatch you get on the opposing lane, and when you're level 6, you can force a turret dive, which then snowballs into a dragon. So if LGD can somehow deny the lane swap and actually negate that inherent experience advantage that Mordekaiser grants, that's one way to try and work around it.
We'll have to see what they decide to do. Those team compositions will be flashing on your screen in just a moment. Guys, at home, jump onto Twitter. Let us know who's going to pick up their first victory here. Both TSM and LGD 0-2 in the World Championships. Hashtag TSM win or hashtag LGD win. Who will be getting that W? Will it be support Brand? Or will it be ADC Mord?
So I actually just received words from our stats guy that Brand mid was played by Dade in the LPL in a game that had no consequences. So technically, it has been played recently, but not in any stage with how much is online. These are both 0-2 teams. The win is an absolute must.
And we are loading onto the ref for game 1 in day 4. Let's take a look how this cookie crumbles. Both solo laners for TSM and LGD are running Flash Teleport. So continuing to see that TP mid meta, if we can go that far, really establishing.
Yeah, this Worlds has been so much about global pressure and specifically just capitalizing on any misposition or misplay by any individual. When you have double teleport, it means you can just really find the position on the map where the mistake is being made and punish it even harder.
I feel like the other thing there as well is that we talked a lot about these teams having strong individual players, but maybe not the best cohesion in the first few games we've seen. So double teleport is very team-oriented. So I want to see if these teams can really line it up and make the clutch plays with the summoner spell.
I did see a slightly deep ward coming from PYL towards the red buff. It will have spotted Wildturtle just a moment ago, but no lane swap deep vision that we've become relatively accustomed to. Safe enough starts, and it looks like it's going to be standard lanes, at least according to the current duo setup.
Yep, I'm really interested to watch this Brand versus Mordekaiser lane and how heavily the Brand can punish the Mord from farming. Because in standard 2v2s that teams have been scrimming with against Mordekaiser, he seems to crush. They do the one camp early, they hit level 2 first, and then they never relent their advantage. That means they're level 6 by the time the enemy bot lane is level 4. That means they rotate the jungler and mid laner down, and because of the level discrepancy, you either have to lane swap or just completely sit everyone under that turret. The dive executes, the AD carry goes down, then they take Dragon, then it all just goes in.
You make it sound so easy.
Well, the thing is, this is, when I talk to all the teams, this is how they explain Mordekaiser to me. That's how they say, this is why he's banned all the time, because this is specifically what you do. And if you execute it and don't make mistakes, you can't do anything again. But LGD clearly has other plans. Again, they don't ban Mordekaiser, and they are ready with this Brand pick, so I cannot wait to see it.
Let's see whether or not it is an effective counter. At level 1, PYL did take Conflagration, and at level 2 has put a point into Seer, so that stun opportunity will be up. And in contrast to H2K, when they ran Mordekaiser in their AD carry position, they did not run double Relic Shield. So this time we are seeing it.
Yeah, and just as a note with Brand, it's been so long since we've really seen him play that At level 2, he has a 2-second stun if he lands that skill shot. That is a long, long time for you to get CC'd so early on. So I like that we're seeing standard lanes. Imp and PYL, they've done it before. It's not very often, but they're just going to play straight up 2v2 and try and honestly just outclass TSM's bottom.
A lot of respect from both Wildturtle and Lustboy, but you can see Wildturtle takes a chunk there from PYL. He's going to try and farm up. Death Sentence does connect, and Lustboy goes in. That's an early flash away from PYL. Sia's going to connect. There's that 2-second stun. Imp is going to throw out
really early teleports.
That's double teleport.
Yeah, they're going to go in now. Now PYL's going to get moved back. Dyrus moving in. First blood to TSM. Mort gets it. Now GODV exhausted, going to be chased down. LGD though, they've already lost one. He's going to go in. 2 kills for TSM, but Imp gets the trade kill.
How much can he get back?
Wildturtle now, maybe the next one.
Not over yet. We do see him trying to chase. Wildturtle going to get some heal from that Harvester of Sorrows. 2-1 in the first fight.
As far as needing an advantage on your Mordekaiser to consistently shove the lane and get work done, that's about the best possible thing that could have happened for TSM. Lustboy lands a hook, PYL flashes. I think, honestly, he didn't need to use that flash early because Mordekaiser had not yet skilled Q and he just used his cooldowns on the minion wave. So PYL actually wasn't under threat, but because the flash was used, it prompted the teleport because then they knew he had no escape and they knew they could punish the play. So a misplay by PYL is punished properly by TSM.
And a second time we're seeing those duo lanes being punished. Yesterday, Imp and PYL got ran around in circles.
No.
Santorin's caught!
Could be trouble there. Stun's landing. TVQ's going to keep slapping away. Santorin, he'll flash body slam away, but they will chase. LGD going to get a kill back.
That's the 2-second stun that Brand brings so early on into the game. They invaded the jungle after the long and drawn-out fight, and it was just not respected by Santorin because the bottom lane was shoved as well. That's one of those team calls you have to be heady enough to realize that the bottom lane is there. PYL will have been able to respawn. It's just a really smart play by TBQ and PYL to get into that spot and then specifically wait until Santorin went to face check.
So we'll see what TBQ can do with the additional gold. Got the makings of an early sight stone. I'll not be too surprised to see that completed. Imp with his kill. Picked up that recurve bow. So going to be able to hop, skip, and jump away from those Mace of Spades from Wildturtle.
Yeah, there's so many cool picks here that I'm going to spend a little bit longer talking about the intricacies. So one of the reasons support Brand is so good, especially this season, is because of Spell Thief's Edge. The way Spell Thief's Edge works is when you have a spell or basic attack against champion, it will deal 10 additional damage and grant 5 gold. And it can occur 3 times every 30 seconds. The thing with Brand's passive, though, is landing a single spell will use all 3 charges of that. So you're getting the additional damage as well as the additional gold every time you use it. It's the easiest champion to activate Spell Thief's Edge on, probably aside from Morgana, who can just put the puddle underneath. But it really adds a lot of extra damage and gold to that Brand.
It certainly helps that Brand's E is point and click as well. We did catch a brief glimpse of Dyrus being shoved in on that top lane. He's going toe-to-toe with Lulu. Lulu's been really successful at shutting down Darius's throughout the course of this group stage. But Dyrus has got pretty close farm. Actually going a little aggressively. Not going to throw out the apprehend though. And I want to see what Dyrus can do now that he's not been really put far behind early.
Yeah, very rarely we've seen Darius in a normal standard 1v1 lane situation. Lots of lane swaps punished him, but Acorn should be just fine here as well. I like the comparison here, honestly. We talked about Acorn not looking that comfortable in recent games. He's very comfortable on a low Econ top laner like Lulu, where it can always make plays.
Yeah, and I'm really tracking the experience in this bottom lane, but also how it interacts with teleport timers. Specifically the Mordekaiser, who wants to be able to pressure the dive once he hits level 6 because he has a level advantage, may not be able to since Dyrus in the top lane doesn't have teleport and Acorn does. If that equalizes, then the level 6 jump that the Mordekaiser gets because he gets full experience in share situations is actually kind of negated. Obviously, TSM had a nice play to use the teleport early, but because Acorn chose not to match, it means the bottom lane is actually much safer for LGD.
Yeah, Lustboy just avoided that C up from PYL. TBQ is moving in. A lot of damage to follow up, but they've been nonetheless. Bjergsen's already completed his Ionian Boot of Lucidity with Home Guard as well, and the teleport will be available very, very soon. So we could see one of those plays in the not too distant future, Jack.
I was going to say, I think we're going to see just like we got an earlier glimpse of what can happen when everyone teleports down to a lane and fight.
Yeah.
That's how we started the first little skirmish to get these first 3 kills. And given the teleports are coming back and home guards are getting finished early, blue buffs even transferring to mid laners now as well, we could see a lot of early 4v4 or 5v5s.
Yeah, I think the 4v4 and 5v5s are definitely what's going to happen. However, one of the core strengths of Mordekaiser and why he's been banned wasn't actually executed on TSM. The small window they had where Wildturtle was level 6 and Imp was not, was actually used up by Santorin handing blue buff off to Bjergsen. They had half of their team on the other side of the map and lost the window.
So we're approaching 10 minutes into the game, and despite the fact TSM are 2 losses, in both of their previous games, their early to mid game was not terrible. It fell apart after that stage. So TSM actually averages a gold lead at 10 minutes, whereas LGD averages that deficit.
So far at Worlds.
So far at Worlds,
Yep.
correct, in the last 2 games. It's a small sample size, still counts.
Yeah, well, it's one of the reasons that these teams are 0-2. They've obviously had their failings. LGD has been a little bit all over, pick and ban, some misplays in the game, and a lot of it just really on the shoulders of TBQ and GODV not bringing up their end of the bargain. Imp and PYL have been playing generally well for LGD.
And I think LGD have done a smart thing here. Yes, Nunu's a pick we haven't seen in a long time, but it was another pick TBQ was relatively well known for in China. Oh my god, GODV, never mind. Diving onto Bjergsen. This is where the matchup can get tricky. Both mid laners have blue buff, but TSM just going to start Dragon instead.
They are, and somewhere, somehow, Deficio is talking about the Dragon. The ghost of Mordekaiser's Dragon, but there will be a challenge.
It's going to be a lot of damage, but they have the Dragon!
Oh, they've got him already! He's
GODV now could be in trouble. Good old back there. Gonna move Diana into the team. Moonfall's not enough. Turtle gets another kill.
Not only did they control the Dragon, but they get 2 kills afterwards. The siege potential of this Dragon, even against a full team, is strong. Now they have a full Dragon at level 9 and a 4-man push mid.
They're going to put so much damage on this tower. Actually will secure it. There is no wave clear around. The question is, what do TSM do with the rest of that Dragon timer? It's only 1,800 hit points now. We saw how quickly it can get focused down when it's tanking the turrets.
Yeah, I think the first Mordekaiser Dragon we saw was a little unspectacular, unfortunately, but that's a nice little move as Imp has been changing things up here. Runen's Hurricane first is a curious pickup.
That's normally something you build when you're really far ahead in lane. You'll go Hurricane first and not go for an early lifesteal option. But he is behind. It's definitely curious here. LGD is behind on a lot of different aspects right now. Honestly, PYL and the rest of LGD just lost control of the Dragon Pit. A little bit inexcusable because they were all grouped up for a big fight, but just no one activated on that team fight. You would expect LGD, a team that loves to team fight, would be able to collapse down there.
And Dragon's so important for both these teams. We look at Mordekaiser's Dragon, pretty much got TSM a turret there after they got a few kills, and LGD have Nunu and Kalista on their team, so they have incredible neutral objective control on both sides, so getting the Dragon first and getting it is very important early on.
And you see how TSM continues to use it with all of the gold sitting in Wildturtle's back pocket. He has a 10-minute Rylai's Crystal Scepter. I think that is incredibly powerful against the limited attack damage that Imp is going to offer. Santorin does have that explosive cask set up, and it could be snuck into the lane unseen. So Imp and PYL, they step out of position. They might get bounced backwards, although, there we go. TSM is going to walk over and clear the pink board.
Yeah, and another thing about these games where we have double teleport is once one team does get a foothold, it does kind of become a little easier to maintain, because any fight that happens, everyone can join, and the team that is ahead will generally do it, but LGD has the jump on it.
Oh, the Santorin, another good ulti, but GODV's trying to go around the side. He's actually caught now as Gragas, but Acorn forced to use his ulti out. GODV looking around the back, and Acorn, he's so low, but they're not going to get the kill. TBQ, nice ult. Santorin sneaks in there for a kill with his flash, and now Bjergsen's going to land the stun. Wildturtle looking to chase.
Yeah, they've chased 1-for-1 thus far. Jungler down from Team Solomid, but LGD backed away. You did see the ghost of Acorn getting more vision, but aggressive start. I think Acorn started to TP first.
Yeah, and massive burst from Wildturtle onto Acorn when he got chunked down right there, basically killing him through an ultimate. Now he has the ghost of Lulu, which isn't as terrifying as Kalista would be, but it still packs a little bit of a punch. Honestly, TP's burned, even trade, not that bad for LGD.
Not at all. Team Solomid still continue to hold their 2,000 gold lead. They're doing a great job across the lanes, with the exception of Imp being up in CS. Even or advantage for Team Solomid.
Looking very similar for LGD as well. Again, we've talked about Imp. He's looking strong. He's had a decent lane, although Mordekaiser looking to get a bit out of control perhaps. And once again, LGD, who honestly were known for a very strong early game play, PYL roams, good strong laners, solid players across the board, backed up with good macro play. On paper, this team was excellent, but The start so far in Worlds, and even the start in this game, has just not shown that.
And even before Worlds, Pastry, LGD was talking about all the pressure they're feeling because they were expected to roll over this very competitive group. And when your expectations are so much higher than your initial results, that adds even more pressure, an extra layer. And you have to wonder how LGD is responding to that. It doesn't look like they're responding to it very well.
No, definitely not. Yesterday's loss to KT Rolster threw LGD into just turmoil. They looked so destroyed on stage. It is only the third game of group stage. A win here and some surprise games next week could still help either of these teams. But we're a long way away from that. LGD, we touched on how they're usually down at 10 minutes. That gold lead accelerates. Their average in the last 2 games at 20 minutes is 3,400 gold down. So it falls apart, and it falls apart very quickly for LGD. In the small few games we've seen.
On the other end of the spectrum, TSM hasn't been able to take advantage of their small gold lead. So something will give in this match, and one of these teams will obviously pick up their first win of Worlds. TSM absolutely has the team composition to try and snowball a lead. Twisted Fate with Teleport. Every time the Dragon is up, they go there to force team fights, and they go take the Dragon to go and fight. The risk for TSM is if they get to late game without a big lead, and then the Nunu Lulu brand starts kiting heavily the double Juggernaut setup of TSM.
I just want to see how they're going to handle all of the melee. On the side of Team Solomid, you have to completely change how you take towers and how you pressure the map when you don't have a ranged AD carry to push towers down. Luckily, it looks like Sheen picked up for Bjergsen, so he may be able to apply some split push pressure. Yeah. But other than that, it's going to be a difficult task outside of winning convincing team fights. Well, 2,000 gold will help them.
Yeah, certainly will. Right now, it seems like TSM happy to sit in their lanes. Turtle and Lustboy don't really need to go anywhere. Double Relic's going to help turn through. Darius is happy. He's just scaling up now as well. I think 5v5, especially as they scale, LGD's comp has a lot of good tools against these melees. You look at Nunu, you look at Brand, even just all the Kai potential with Lulu in there as well. There are so many different things. Even stuff like Brand's passive being good against big health targets is actually quite good in this situation.
I also want to see how Dyrus handles himself. He's finally been allowed to play some League of Legends. Got himself a good, healthy CS. Black Cleaver completed already. Just going to synergize with that bleed. A lot of damage over time. But look, both junglers in the area. TBQ stood right atop a ward, so Santorin will have information advantage. And Death Sentence going to go just a little short. This Dragon is live. So Team Solomid showing a focus on Dragon, but double sweeping lanes in the same bush.
Both teams have rotated down. The synergy between Lustboy and Santorin still not as clean as they'd like it to be. They'd love to have that sweeper now. And LGD is looking to brawl in this Dragon pit. This could be a big game-changing fight.
Certainly going to have to see what they can get done here. Lustboy, though, now looking aggressive. Posturing with those boots of mobility. Hook does not land.
GODV is looking for a flank from behind. He's slow to the party, but because that hook did not land, it gives him time to catch up, and TSM has to be very careful they don't extend too far and open up their flank.
There is some vision deeper down the river for Team Solomid, but LGD, they've started the Dragon. TSM want to challenge. Pierce connects from Imp, and TBQ's left in the pit. The Pyroclasm is available, not going to get you. Zero to Wildturtle.
Good stun there, the ulti channel by TBQ as well. LGD just trying to fight GODV around the flank. Dragon will fall there as GODV's kiting away. Dyrus going to look for the dunk, but GODV moves back in over to Wildturtle. Moonfall to buy some time. LGD needs to get back, but Bjergsen, he'll get the kill onto GODV, and now GODV's Ghost will chase down his team.
Yeah, we do see the Destiny and the Gate from Bjergsen. Going to look for Imp and TBQ. They're on the wrong side of the map, but the gold card has timed out. There's another one lined up. Going to connect onto Imp. Imp's in trouble. Flashes over the wall, uses the cleanse. TBQ will get focused down by one more gold card, and the wild card finds Imp as well. It is a rout, and TSM are wiping the floor with LGD.
LGD went all in on the team fight from behind. They actually start the Dragon, and while they could secure that, they lose the fight terribly.
Yeah, Acorn's just going to get domed now. Bjergsen here, looking for the lock-on, gets the stun. Hook will land. Acorn gets alley-ooped, and Dyrus gets the dunk.
A 5,000 gold lead for TSM 17 minutes into the game. This team looks so out of sorts in their first 2 matches, completely lacking team cohesion. But in this specific instance, if both teams set up for a team fight brawl, they're showing they can brawl.
And look, we've talked a lot about LGD's kind of failures early on in the group stage in Paris, but TSM finally back to their old place, it feels like.
Yeah, and PYL actually landed a really good ultimate at the start of this fight. It bounced in multiple different directions to Turtle. And I guess it actually did die on Turtle, but he landed the stun. Then TBQ had a really terrible Nunu ultimate that didn't have any zone control, and LGD reaches for this fight because GODV was caught on one side, and Lustboy actually takes all of the aggro. It doesn't die by the end of it, so that difference of a support getting focused versus the mid lane getting focused really changes the dynamic of this chase down, since now the damage threats are gone for LGD, and at this point they're just on the wrong side of the Dragon.
Yeah, just a lot of cleanup here as eventually they'll have a chase down here, but Chinese teams are known for strong fights around terrain. That's where their strong team fighting comes from. Two excellent flashes from Bjergsen and Lustboy effectively won them the back half of that fight.
Absolutely.
Exceptional play from Team Solomid. They're going to take their third tower of the game, accelerate that gold lead. They've got fan support on their side, but it looks like it's going to be a tower trade. LGD on the outer turret in the bottom lane. The TSM, they're knocking on the inner turret top.
Yeah. Well, we were also talking about how the teams would push the turrets, especially since TSM doesn't have a ranged AD. So as far as actually getting turrets down, trading turrets is one of the best ways for TSM to get them down, as long as they can accelerate the game and get to the next Dragon area. That's actually not that bad. They get the inner turret, LGD does not.
And just trades everywhere here, but TSM are the ones with the gold lead. And it's funny, I feel like when I was watching the NALCS and watching TSM play, their mid to late game seemed very good, and their early game maybe a little shaky despite the strength of their laners. This game, after what we've seen already from them in Paris, has been a huge change for them. This is a massive lead.
Yeah, what a disappointment from LGD. You look at those goal differences between the players, overall team goal. I mean, Wildturtle and Lustboy, they're just setting up to bonk someone on the head with that giant mace of spades.
Specifically from GODV, like, what is happening with this guy? It's not like he was some bad mid laner in the LPL that was just for some reason overhyped. This guy was legitimately dominating people for the entirety of the year and earned the hype coming into this event, but he has just been completely underperforming.
Here we are, will get pulled out there. Imp's gonna throw himself out as Imp's trying to secure his own red. I don't even think he can do that at this point. TSM gonna take over the top left of the map.
Yeah, they will, but look at the bottom half of the map. GODV has found Dyrus.
Wow.
And that's just Dyrus out of position, really.
Yeah.
No vision and no support from his team.
LG doesn't even have to burn a single teleport for that. Slick play there by GODV. He's going to split push mode now that he has Nashor's Tooth on Diana, and will look to use his teleport to at least have some type of impact. That would be the beginning of him coming back into the game, because really, if they want to win, GODV's got to pick up several more kills.
It's going to take such a long time, though. You've got a scaling Rod of Ages on Lulu top from Acorn. You've got not even a completed Blade of the Rune King yet for Imp. So I think there still needs to be a lot more arsenal packed into the LGD punch if they want to look to win these team fights. Wildturtle's almost got an hourglass completed already. I mean, it's a terrifying position to be in, as we've crashed to 20 minutes. So he has a replay, and that's just Dyrus.
Yeah, out of position.
He has wards behind him, but he has no wards in front of him. And this has actually been one of the Achilles heels of why TSM hasn't capitalized on some of their early game gold leads, is because their deep warding is just inadequate for what they're trying to accomplish on the map. That honestly falls heavily to Santorin and Lustboy, but it also falls to Darius for respecting the vision you have achieved, and he reached farther than they had achieved vision.
Yeah, especially the entire team of Team Solomid is pushing the top half of the map. They're trying to set up for a death push, trying to set up with the vision control they had, and it didn't work out. PYL support brand, needlessly large rod, has been picked up.
He's trying to get something back.
Well, let's
Homeguard
see.
TF.
Oh God, Bjergsen just rushing straight for it, but Acorn's already away.
Fizzled, that one, we could say, but you've still got Destiny available. And again, using the vision on the top half of the map to try and make a play. Maybe suboptimal, but it's keeping pressure, it's keeping LGD down. I think that's crucial. LGD are not going to be able to push past their river safely for a very, very long time. I want to see TSM get better deep wards and then try to push down that last inner turret in the middle and bottom lane.
Yeah, TSM certainly have the arsenal to start fighting now. Lichbane completed, Abyssal Scepter done, Rylo's almost is on his Black Cleaver now as well. Dyrus even going tankier to try and reinforce some of the fight potential his team has. On the other side for LGD, Acorn scaling with his rower, Nashor's is up, but GODV still looking for a second. It's really just Imp that's got the two items. He's the big strength of this team now.
And I do have to mention that even though there's this large gold discrepancy, if it's not able to be capitalized on by TSM, LGD holds a late game team fight advantage. A nice hook to start this fight though.
TBQ's gonna flash the flay and get away. The body slam does connect. There's the ghost. It's gonna be a Children of the Grave onto Nunu. Absolute zero does zero. Imp once again cleanses the death sentence, and LGD are backing away from the mid lane. Lustboy is playing a great Thresh this game.
He has landed hook after hook, and Lustboy was one of the main underperformers for TSM through the first two games, constantly being caught out of position, but this time he is landing the hook and the team is following up on his action. They're gonna try and push with this Nunu Ghost while leaving up the Dragon. They will actually want to take that later.
Another hook flash there, just gets pulled out by him. but TBQ is going to keep taking it up, betraying his own team as TSM now 5 towers to 1.
Extending that gold lead. Dragon is available, but have TSM taken too much damage? We'll find out shortly. Teleport is available for Dyrus and both of them for LGD.
Yeah, they burned the Gragas ultimate and the Mordekaiser ultimate as well as taking that poke from him. They actually, because they decided to push with the Nunu, may forfeit this Dragon. We'll see if that's a call they regret. Looks like LGD gets this one pretty uncontested.
Bjergsen does have his ultimate, so if TSM want to try and fight, they can.
They could teleport in, actually. Bjergsen has been healed up. Darius is going. They're going to try and fight this one at their 7,000 gold advantage.
There's the ulti out. Lustboy looking for a hook. Finds Acorn, but the Dragon's already dead. Fight's going to break out. Santorin jumps in. Might be a little too soon, though, as Imp now going to ravage through the back. The first kill has happened. Bjergsen round the flank trying to get it. Dyrus, a double there as it's absolute chaos. The dust goes down. TBQ dies. You took from Lustboy. A triple out for Dyrus. And TSM clean up LGD.
23 minutes and Ace, a minion wave in the mid lane. What do they choose to do with this? Because they have every option open. TSM is turning this game into a rout.
There is a massive minion wave in the bottom lane. It looks like Dyrus and Wildturtle are going to push that up. The rest of TSM are pushing through the middle lane. They're knocking on multiple turrets at the same time.
It's 2 dragon fights now that LGD have tried to take. They've gotten 2 dragons, well done there, but they have lost the fight horribly every time. This time they will pay with their mid inhibitor turret as well. The inhibitor itself will stay, but for how much longer?
10,000 gold down. Let's see what Acorn and GODV can do. They're looking for TSM, who are split up. Dyrus is going to make it down to the bottom lane. Wildturtle gets caught by the Glitterlons. So does Bjergsen. Here comes GODV. He's jumping in. The Lantern pulls Wildturtle to safety, and Team Solomid get out.
This is not just about the play, it's the continuation of the play. This is LGD's final desperation move. They burned both teleports to try and get a kill. They didn't get a kill, so they are doubling down and going for Baron. This is so risky.
All in now, LGD. Can you get it? If not, you're going to be so far behind. Bjergsen poking around. Santorin does have his smite ready. The Baron's fairly low. Imp's got so many spears in the back of the head. Santorin's been stunned. They will get it, but will they get punished for it? Santorin dives in onto TBQ. GODV gets knocked back. Tries to make it go back in. The Wild Grab pops in. LGD fighting to the death. First kill happens. Dyrus trying to duck in the middle. Imp with a double. GODV cleans up the third.
What a bold call by LGD. You have to have so much guts to go for that. Down 10,000 gold, and they force a Baron after a recall play. But TSM tried to stop it, and in doing so, make LGD's play even better. Obviously, TSM still has a big lead in this one, but LGD does stay in the game with that amazing call.
So crucial to get all that gold and now items for further fights. There's a replay of Baron being secured, and then TSM re-engaging with no ultimates, no mana.
Yeah, Dyrus missed the outer ring of his Q, which is so critical for Darius, because if he gets one reset there, he triggers his Noxian Might and could go on a rampage. I'm not sure if his ult was still on cooldown. It actually was, because he didn't get it in the fight. So he had his ultimate up for that fight. If he could have landed the first outer ring in that Q, maybe that's an entirely different fight. So rare do you see a team up 10,000 gold actually still be in danger of losing the game, because it's now 4.
And I have to credit, honestly, some strong individual skill, like we mentioned for LGD. Acorn had some wicked sick geometry after that teleport to secure the slows and get to the Baron buff safely. And Imp, just watch how he's playing in these fights. He's an excellent Kalista player, but you can tell Imp wants this so badly.
It was 10,000, now 5,000, and the Baron stats and the Baron minions. LGD have now got the tools they need to claw back this lead. Look at the items that were picked up as well. Rylai's for PYL, Last Whisper for Imp, Hourglass, Aegis, like all of these spikes are now being hit by LGD.
I think the Rylai's is the most important one, because if this gives them the ability to kite the double juggernauts of TSM, it could be game-changing. Obviously, we'll see what they can do with this Baron buff. I think they're already close to having one of the biggest Baron power plays we've seen here at Worlds. They could make this gargantuan.
Certainly could. And TSM trying to fight off these big Baron dot minions, but LGD have had new lease on life after I think we used the word bold. That's very fitting with that Baron play. Still got plenty of ground to make up, though.
And what is going on with this World Championship? All the results we heard from scrims coming into this was this team's looking weak, and then you'd get a conflicting report. Oh no, they're actually really strong. I think that's because everyone was beating everyone else, and the same is holding true within this World Championship. LGD pushing up mid, another hook.
TBQ gets caught, gets apprehended, but the body slam doesn't connect. Absolute Zero will zone Team Solomid away, and LGD will be happy getting themselves another tower and a few crucial ultimates. off of TSM's cooldown.
Yeah, trying to close that gap here. LGD get an important tower, honestly. 3 towers is a much improved over what they had before, and they finally got a bit more space around the map. Dragon will be back in a minute 30 as well. And from what we've seen already, Dragon's been a big fight point. LGD are actually the ones with 2 dragons, but TSM have won the last 2 dragon fights.
Yeah, every time LGD's actually gone to the dragon pit, it's been a disaster for them. They've been able to secure the dragons, however, and they actually might want to just do it again, despite the poor results they've had before, because they could have reached they may have reached the breaking point within their team composition. TSM's damage is starting to fall off the cliff, and Acorn now has a lot of tools, especially if they can catch Wildturtle.
Let's find out. He's looking for the lantern, but he will not find it. And PYL and Imp, they get one of the most important keys from Team Solomid. They're onto a tower as well.
If LGD can come back from 10,000 gold down, I don't know how TSM recovers for the rest of the group. They're up 10,000 gold, sub 25 minutes, and they are now in danger of losing the game.
Gap has closed a lot, only 4K up now for TSM, and that was like a full screen initiation from Kalista Brown. We didn't even touch on what they can do. Normally we see a support with Kalista, and there's a lot of synergy going on. Brand's a new one, but that was very stylish from the LGD bottom lane.
Plus 5,000 Baron power play. That is an exceptional amount of gold. And we just hit 30 minutes. This game was looking to be a whitewash, a stomp from TSM in favor of LGD, has now turned into a, honestly, probably preferential LGD game.
Potentially, Mordekaiser's damage is going way downhill here. He's at AP damage, he doesn't have any magic penetration, he's itemized defensively. So TSM's ability to actually kill both GODV and Imp in these fights with shielding coming in from Lulu is not very high. So let's see LGD force this next fight with all 5 members.
GODV's going to join in. Santorin, way around the back here. Going to get knocked himself away as Santorin has to get out. Acorn does ult himself as TVQ's looking for the zone and gets the first kill. That should be enough. They'll keep chasing through. Acorn's going to run in for support. Wildturtle pops his zonies, but the damage is just massive. Imp tearing through the team.
They really are LGD. They are losing 1 or 2 though. They found Wildturtle as well as Santorin. Darius will survive. The bleed will give Darius a double kill, and I think that was a gold card to find another 3 members of LGD down.
Bjergsen's not done. He's going to look for the ult. He does not commit. I think he's gone mid instead here. Does use something. Oh, now he is. Going to go in. Get TVQ. Cuts off Acorn around the back. Dyrus is in the enemy
Dyrus just hit the inhibitor.
And then it's going to chase. There we go. Dyrus straight on the mid.
Inhibitor in the mid lane is going to go down, and look at the minion wave up top. Bjergsen has teleported to find Acorn. LGD are aced, and TSM are destroying their base.
What a crazy game this is. Every single time LGD goes to the Dragon Pit to fight, it has ended in disaster. That fight was so damn close. Everyone on LGD walked away with slivers of health, but because Bjergsen could save his ult and teleport, he cleaned up all the kills.
And so much credit to Bjergsen. We've talked about his Twisted Fate, been banned before this here in Paris. And the combination of strong mechanical play and insanely good map awareness to use 2 different global cooldowns to move around the map was superb.
And now this is exactly what TSM needs to do to continue closing out this game. They have super minions in the mid lane. They waited for Wildturtle so he can mark their dragon. Now they have a 4,500 health dragon. They need to use that to go and take objectives. Because of the level on him, the dragon actually lasts an extended amount of time, so they can either go for a second inhibitor or save that dragon to take a Baron and then go for a push. They have their options open once again, thanks to that incredibly close dragon fight.
Super minions starting to pour through that middle lane. That will give a lot of options to Team Solomid. Destiny's available for Bjergsen once more, and that banner of command that Lustboy's been using gonna add to the sieging power. We asked how you take towers. With Mord, you take dragon. A giant dragon to do it for you. That's gonna fall in the next few autos.
So clever as well from Lustboy. No cannon minion, so the next best choice, weirdly enough, is actually a caster creep.
Gold cards.
Trouble though for TVQ, gets himself hooked up, gonna move back into the team. The wild grab burn defensively. LGD will kite themselves away, but the dragon is just fighting them. Bjergsen will zone Acorn, and LGD will collapse.
6v5, not fair, bro. Acorn's gonna get taken out by Bjergsen as Imp throws a pierce on the back line. There's the super minions from mid as another inhibitor's going to fall. Team Solomid got Dragon, Dragon's Ghost, and an inhib all in one smooth play.
Yeah, it's a dragon power play right there from TSM.
New stat.
New stat in Mordekaiser games. What is the dragon power play? Huge for TSM. They had the 10,000 gold lead 10 minutes ago. It disappeared, and now it sits at 6. But most importantly, they have managed to get the sieges. LGD, though, we know they have a never-say-die attitude in these games. Their desperation moves are what kept them in this game. Expect them to continue to look for fights.
Well, we did see LGD moving towards the Baron pit, but there's simply not enough safe vision. So they're going hesitantly, using those sentinels of Kalista to try provide more information. Team Solomid grouped a little more effectively. They'll need deep wards if they want to go for the Baron and then the safe close of the game. But more warding needs to be done. And TSM actually just going to start setting that up.
And Baron is going to be very difficult for LGD to get anywhere close to. Acorn's busy in the bottom lane cleaning side waves. Pillwheel's trying to get some vision, and you can see TBQ has the lens sweeping away looking for vision, but TSM going to move up, push the waves out, and just start a very difficult choice. You either fight us, you lose your top lane, or you lose the Baron, and they're all bad choices for LGD.
Yeah, it's also been remarkable how well Bjergsen has played this game.
So well.
Santorin has also had really good splitting ultimates to bring targets towards the Juggernauts, because that was such a struggle for TSM. Dyrus did an absurdly low amount of damage in his last Darius game to champions. It was like 1,700 or something as low as that. This game has been much different because the setup has come from Thresh, Twisted Fate, and Gragas.
And it helps when you've got TBQ sitting on the front line, eating death sentence after death sentence. It's the second game, this group stage, where TBQ's been curtailed.
They're going
this
for
time
it.
The death sentence not going to hit.
Yeah, that's an ulti, but it knocks Acorn away. Bjergsen, massive damage! Legendary! Twisted Fate's going to clean out one. Now TBQ could be in trouble as the stuns are coming out at him. He's so angry, but he gets exhausted. He's trying to leap in. They won the fight. Huge AoE combo in. Got arrows in everybody now.
Now let's see Dyrus. He's in trouble. He gets taken down. GODV and him still alive. 2v3. They might clean this up. Wildturtle gets him! Wildturtle and Bjergsen! They may have just won the game! Pushing through the mid lane with the supers!
That could be enough here. There's only 2 left. Bjergsen does unbelievable amounts of damage. And to think coming into this World Championships, Imp, the defending world champion, could start his first week 0-3. LGD have so little time left now.
That is more games lost in groups this year than Imp lost at the entire World Championship last year. TSM take down LGD.
It's going to be it. LGD, another upset. And North America, one of their flagship team, picks up the most unexpected victory.
Unbelievable performance. Team Solomid again show their early game is okay. They made that fantastic this game until the poor Baron call. And the game just swung. Chance deserved for that victory.
Absolutely, and you can see the strength of LGD fighting very hard in this game with an amazing turnaround to almost pull the game back. But TSM keep everything cool. That man there, Bjergsen, made some unbelievable plays, and TSM pick up their first win against the most unlikely opponent.
Yeah, strengths and